on this point of technology and digitalization and ask a further question which relates to geopolitics.
Okay.
And that is that increasingly we are seeing a stark divide between the United States and between China.
Yeah.
So, for example, a telecoms company like Huawei that has had a very pervasive impact on infrastructure all over the continent. We see a company like Techno that has produced a lot of handsets at very cheap prices for the African market. It has an impact in opening up the market for low-income people. We see that occurring at the same time as the United States is increasingly taking a view that people might have to choose between China and between the United States, or the West and China. How do you see that impacting the technological process within African nations? And how do you see us choosing between the two?
Thank you very much. I think that we should not get into this joke. Our choice between the US and and China on this matter, our choice should be Africa. Our choice should be Ghana. Well, it's in our interest. We have real problems to solve, and we should focus on solving those problems and not get into, because when the elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers, right? And we don't want to be the grass that is suffering here. But let's know what we are trying to do. One of the good things, and one of the important things that I must say is a lot of the digitalization efforts that we are seeing. A lot of it, for us, is being driven by the private sector and local private sector. A lot of people, because we have very, very smart people in the IT sector. They are coming up, like our digital address system has been developed by a local firm. I was very pleasantly surprised because we had done an international tender trying to look for people, and we thought all the big players would come, but a local firm came in and blew out everybody from the water. And we gave them the opportunity, they did it. National ID, local firm. Mobile money, interoperability, local firm. So we are looking at growing our own tech sector and making sure that we don't want to get into this geopolitical game. They can fight, but we are going to go ahead of them if they keep fighting.
Vice President, I just have a question in two parts for you before I close.
Okay.
And that question is as I said, it's in two parts. The first is, where do you see the African common market in all of this? At a time at which we are entering into a period of apparent deglobalization, in which the world is going into blocks. Africa, in some ways, is going the opposite direction in that we are trying to become continental. How do you see the future of that? That's the first. The second, more controversial, was that it's a recent discussion that we had at all places at Harvard Business School. Someone's argued that if you looked at the macroeconomic figures for the United States, if the United States was not printing the dollar, it would have to approach the IMF to sustain its situation. So the question I have for you is that, are you, as a matter of policy, for the continued dollarization of the world, or do you believe that it is in the interests of African countries and Ghana to live in a multi-currency world?
Well, let me take the question. In the past, and these professors have ways to see questions upon you. This is good. The issue of the African common market is for us is non-negotiable. There may be deglobalization in other places, but the other places have reached the levels where they can afford to deglobalize. For Africa, we're creating the largest common market in the world, right, with a $3 trillion economy, right? So we have to, the objectives of the African Common Market are still very, very important in this world. And we therefore need to form a bloc to allow us to even negotiate on stronger terms with the rest of the world and to allow that trade amongst ourselves. And that is very, very important. I'm very keen on the common air market, for example, in Africa. We need to push. It's one of those things that I would like to see us have a common air market and open skies and so on to drive. So we still have a lot to do on the issue of integration and regional integration, and I think we will move on. The more controversial question on whether we want to see de-dollarization, I really think that economic forces from time to time determine what is the reserve currency of the world, right? And you will use currencies as they support your trade. So from our perspective, we will just continue to use the dollar, we will continue to use gold and whatever currencies that support our trade. It's not coming at it from an ideological perspective, but we are looking at a practical perspective. What works for us? And that's what we're going to do.